Good evening, everyone. Today is January 16th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. and this is the Acushnet Planning Commission. This meeting is being recorded for future viewing on the town's YouTube page and also on cable, the cable channel, and we are live tonight via Zoom. Can I get a motion to open the planning board meeting?
I make a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we get everybody to introduce themselves? Victoria?
Hi, Victoria Alfaro, Town Planner.
Steve Boucher, member.
Mark Francois, Chairman.
Brian Deschamps, member.
Rick Ellis, Vice Chairman.
All right, next, meeting minutes from January 2nd. Haley sent this to everyone. Everyone was in attendance except Rick Ellis was absent. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from January 2nd?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving along. Correspondence. You all have a packet in your folder. We got an email from Wave 2 Environmental Inc. I'll just read the cover letter here. To whom it may concern, Wave 2 Environmental Inc., W2E, is pleased to submit a copy of the activity and use limitations that has been recorded on behalf of the Acushnet River Reserve, Inc., for a release of PCBs that was previously reported for the above referenced address. The attached satisfies the public involvement / notice of activities required by 310 CMR 40.1074. If there are any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact us at any time. So there's a big old packet you can read through. Evidently this company went in and cleaned up. There was some tires and some junk and debris over on,
With a loss of, oh,
it's across, excuse me, across from PJ Keating, that,
right, yep.
that area, that's the walkway area, but then next to the Acushnet River. So when you want, there's some extra reading for you.
I mean, I don't know whether the rest of you guys are familiar with that stuff, but that's fairly standard. All it really amounts to is there's still a spot on the property.
Oh, excuse me, can everybody on Zoom, please mute yourself? Thank you.
But if there's some remaining contamination there, the state does not want it to be disturbed. So that activity and use limitation is basically to say, you don't disturb this area, under any circumstances. Or if you do, basically, you've got to go back to the state and convince them that you can do it without further polluting the environment. And that's kind of a simple explanation for it, but it's pretty straightforward.
So just
these days.
leave the tires in the ground.
If the state deems
Just
that
don't put a shovel in the ground.
If
If you read the packet, don't put a shovel in the ground.
Don't put a shovel in the ground is right. I mean, if the state has deemed whatever is there is okay if it stays there undisturbed, then just, don't put a shovel in the ground in that spot. And it's defined in the documents.
Okay, moving on. Number 2, hearing scheduled for this evening that will be continued as follows. We had a public hearing continued for tonight. This continued site plan review and special permit, 211 Middle Road, map 23, lot 29, 29A, 29B. This public hearing has been rescheduled till February 6th, 2025. I just want to make a quick comment to everybody watching and listening for future reference. You may be notified via a certified letter to, if you're within so many feet of a project, to attend a public hearing. These public hearings sometimes, most of the times, are continued. It is not the proponent's responsibility to notify you every time that the meeting's been continued. The planning board does post the agenda 3 days prior to the meeting, so you can go on the town's website, go on the planning board to see what the agenda is. Just to make sure, I would ask that people all check before coming out, taking the drive out, taking time out of work or whatnot to come to these meetings. Go on the website, check the agenda for that meeting, and it'll tell you whether that hearing is going to be heard or it will be continued again. I prefer you do that first. If for some reason you have a hard time getting through on our website, you can call the town planner's office and ask, and they will tell you whether that is being held or not. Okay. Next, discussion on other topics. First is approval.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Please.
We just need the motion to continue that
Oh,
hearing.
sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to continue to, what was it, February 6th?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, to February 6th, 2025, the special permit for 211 Middle Road, map 23.
I've got a motion.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Victoria. Next is discussion on other topics. Approval not required. 474 Middle Road, map 23, lot 1. Applicant and owner Carolyn Moore. Representative Steve Giosa of Site Tech Engineering and Environmental Consultant, Inc. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, good evening. For the record, Steve Gioso with SciTech Engineering. This is a A&R, approval not required plan being presented this evening for a 27.5 acre parcel of land located at 474 Middle Road, which is right opposite Morse's Lane that exits or intersects with Middle Road, right opposite the site. We're on the opposite side of Middle Road with this property. There is an existing single-family dwelling located in the northeast corner of the site. A couple of other outbuildings which we have depicted on the plan. And the current owner of the property is looking to sell the bulk of the property but wants to retain the existing residence and the associated outbuildings. So we have created Lot 1 as depicted on the plan. It's a 60,000 square foot parcel. It's got several hundred feet of frontage, so it meets the dimensional requirements for this particular zoning. We've also maintained proper setbacks to property line with the new structure being, with the existing structure to the new property line. And we've also had the wetlands delineated on the site by a wetland specialist, Chris Capone, who happens to be actually the conservation agent for the town of Westport, as well as a consultant who does wetland delineations. And as you can see, Lot 1 is a upland parcel, and the remaining land has got a mix of upland and wetlands, but is obviously more than the required minimum contiguous upland area to constitute a lot under the zoning. So a lot of frontage. There are 2 easements on the main parcel. A Eversource easement that runs along the western boundary of the site, and New Bedford has a waterline easement that runs through the middle of the property. But again, even when you exclude those easement areas, that remaining land has over 25 acres of land unrestricted by easements. Oh, and the applicants are here tonight, the folks who are looking to purchase the remaining land.
So what's the setbacks for, is it 25 feet and you got 28?
Correct.
Yeah. And this line is the property line, this is somebody else's, right?
That's correct.
I'm just curious, that New Bedford water easement, is that for the line that runs from Lake Street Ponds down to through New
Right.
Bedford?
Yeah, it's very distinct on the property, it's mounded up in this area.
In some places it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, very distinct through this particular piece. Yeah, because it does drop off, you'll see with the wetlands on either side, it drops off, so they fill that in at one point in time to
Yep.
get proper cover over the line, yeah.
It's hard to believe that the city of New Bedford still hangs on to that, but
Right.
I'm sure that there's good reasons for it, but,
Well, it's tough to give up something they've had for, 100 years or more.
yeah, I mean,
I've heard parts of it are caved in anyway.
Right. Yeah,
It's so old.
right.
yeah. I mean, they demolished the pump house and hopefully put a plug in the line long ago, so.
Right.
It's Conduit Street.
Huh?
It's on
Conduit Street, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it looks straightforward to me. I mean, the
Yeah.
town planner's already looked at it. There's
Mhm.
area and frontage. Obviously, it goes with the caveat, it would behoove you to make sure that your well and your septic system is, if there is a well on that property, is not going to be impacted by this division. But
Yeah.
that
we-
doesn't
we've
matter
looked
to
at
us
that.
in terms of signing the plan or not signing
Sure.
the plan.
Anybody have any other questions?
Nope.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Victoria, you have the Mylar, please?
Date,
116.
Oh, thank you. I always do that at the end.
This is the next.
What's the next one?
Yeah, I put the other one we have.
We'll sign all of these at the end.
I'm gonna take the registry.
Yeah.
Okay, my office just needs to be provided proof of recording, so you can email the receipt or a copy of them.
Okay, we'll give you both. We'll
Okay,
we'll get you a
awesome.
copy, right?
Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Okay, thank you.
No
All
problem.
right,
Thank
good night
you.
now.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night. Okay, moving right along. Another approval not required, 21 Cushing Lane, map 7, lot 17B. Applicant and owner Jose J. Gomes and Rebecca H. Wood Gomes. Representative Michael Koska with Michael Koska and Associates, Inc. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, good evening, board members. For the record, my name is Michael Koska. I'm a registered engineer and land surveyor in the Commonwealth of Mass. Here representing Mr. and Mrs. Gomes to carve out a retreat lot on their portion of their property at 21 Cushing Lane in the town of Acushnet. Retreat bylaw If my memory serves me right, which the dimensional requirements are on the top right-hand side of the plan, 40 feet of frontage maintained throughout, at least 120,000 square feet. And as you see, there's a buildable box on there of 75 feet from all property lines. The Gomeses live next door. They have a well and a septic system. And the perk test was done probably, that would be the upper southwest corner of this lot. So everything will not conflict with each other as far as the Board of Health is concerned. So we're here this evening hoping to get the plan endorsed so that they can move forward. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for the board.
Yeah, this is straightforward. I
So
mean,
we're,
just out of curiosity, what was the soil like back there? I'm not familiar, this area of town, I haven't seen that much activity in.
The soils are what you would call a Paxton type soil. They're glacial till that is sandy.
Oh, okay.
I think that we achieved a perk rate of 27 in one, and the other one was considerably better, but there was a higher water table in the vicinity of about 27 to 30 inches, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah,
So it'd be a raised
that's fine. You know,
system.
for me, it was just like a geology question. You know, in different areas of town, you know, there's certain characteristics of the soil. And
Yeah.
again, I just wasn't that familiar with this area. I'm sure they wouldn't do it if they couldn't get a percolation test passed.
I perked this house where it is now, and that was, you know, just at 30 minutes per inch.
Mhm.
My memory serves
Yeah,
me
so
right.
that's another
Yeah.
marginal area
The
in
soils,
town.
yeah, they're not great
Yeah,
around there.
and that's kind of the way Acushnet runs. There are areas that are just sand,
Yeah,
and there are areas that are glacial till.
right, all in that
The
area. It's
old
like
glacier just rubbed on top of.
Right, it's a ground moraine in that area there, which, you know, basically the glacier melted in right in a, with about three miles of ice, whereas the, you know, different areas have outwash plains where you got the sands and everything.
Yep.
But that is a ground moraine.
That's this part of the world.
Yeah.
so this property belongs to the existing dwelling 21?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So this is a portion of 21. Their remaining lot of about 244 feet of frontage they have, and I'm gonna say maybe 6 acres.
5.42, I think.
Yep, it's quite a bit. I mean, it's a big lot.
Yeah, 5.24, correct,
And there's-
sorry.
This is all complete upland, no wetlands?
No wetland whatsoever there.
Well,
Yeah, it all runs towards the
In-
road,
Yeah.
runs downhill towards the road.
Right. In fact, if you go on the backside of this property where Clem's Way is and the trailer park that was owned or still owned by the St. Armands,
At top.
that's about the very peak of the.
And that top of that hill is awful.
Yeah, it is. And it slopes off towards Cushing Lane and then in a westerly, southwesterly direction towards Main Street.
Does that ditch run all the way behind this property? There's a ditch that runs from 105, runs along the back of these properties.
I didn't see a ditch back there.
Really?
And I went beyond the property, because there happened to be a deer stand out there, so I had to check that out. And I came to where they clear cut, almost to the property line in back of Clem's
Okay,
trailer park there,
Mhm.
Clem's Way. I guess that was what, Jerry St. Armand that owned that with his brother Clem, who passed away before.
so the end
Jerry
of
did.
Clem's Way comes to the back part of this property?
The trailer park, the land came all the way back. If you look and go by there, up on the hill, you see like a little building. And I think that's where the well was, and there was a pretty substantial protective radius around that well.
well, that would be a public drinking supply, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be.
It
It
is.
serves over 25
It actually serves 47, which is well above
Oh,
the
yeah,
15 grace number
right,
you get.
so,
Okay.
that's
Any
what I
questions?
got.
Comments, concerns?
All set. Looks straightforward to me. I would make a motion that we approve the plan as submitted.
I have a motion.
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Myla?
Who seconded that motion?
3 seconds before. He was quicker at the draw than you were.
Sorry.
Not too much business on the agenda tonight.
No, would have had a little more, but no. It's been quiet.
Yeah.
That's okay, we'll take it.
That's
I'll
that's
take it.
fine.
We'll take it for a little while.
We had a
Absolutely.
real run of solar array.
Yeah, somebody
projects.
was telling me that, and it
That-
seems some of them worked out okay, but some of them are a little bit shaky.
Not so, not so
Okay, who
okay.
knows? I think it's really more Eversource controlled than anything else
Really?
at this point. You have to have an interconnect permit
Right,
to tie the thing into the Eversource system
right.
and become competitors for producing electricity.
Mm. Well, I hope they all last a long time because, you know, I hit a lot of golf balls down at that drive. And I really was sad to see it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really was.
It's good to always look down the street.
I used to live at Rock Street, where I grew up. Right now I'm down in Fairhaven. But I've got some property on Rock Street, you know, my grandmother's house. So. Still around the area.
Where are you living now, Mike?
There's a little area in Fairhaven on Sconneck called Wigwam Beach, and I was fortunate.
Generally familiar with the
Yeah,
area,
so I was fortunate enough to land down there,
Mhm.
so.
Cross your fingers, no major hurricanes, and you'll be all set.
I put a place up on a flood foundation, so I hope my,
This is those waves too, they don't.
well, it's in a velocity zone, so it's, you know, the lowest horizontal member is 2 feet above the predicted wave height. So we'll see. Let's put it this way, I don't have any flood insurance. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, I
Oh, no,
appreciate
thank-
it.
Thank you.
Haven't seen you guys in a while.
Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, of course. My office just needs to be provided proof of recording, so you can.
I will tell Gomes that I'm gonna be
Oh, they're
doing
gonna-
some topo
okay.
work from tomorrow morning, so.
Perfect.
I'll call him as soon as I leave here and tell him what the game plan is.
All right, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Someday, if you remind me, I'll tell you a little quick story about one of Nate's sons and doing percolation tests with him.
Oh, not Andy.
I forget the guy's name. All I know is it was a Monday morning, and he showed up, and every time that machine banged, he just cringed.
Oh, yeah.
It was evidently a busy weekend.
Right, if it was Andy, Andy is a little bit of a piece of work. I remember Nate at the Registry of Deeds over there, and I guess he was a former selectman too. He was.
Oh, Nate was, yeah.
Yeah, and then he was,
For quite some time, actually.
yeah. But Anyway, there's a lot of history in this town.
Catch you
Okay.
later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, moving right along, town plan update. Victoria?
Yes, hi, so for the record, Victoria Alfaro, town planner. So,
Do we have to wait? He went to the restroom. Should we wait or do we need to wait?
up to you.
Well,
Let's give it a second.
in the meantime, the MBTA must have a map somewhere that shows what that half-mile radius is from the
They-
station. I'd just like to visually see it, that's all. It's, you know,
Yes, so they had, last that I worked on this, which has been a bit, they had shape files, which is the data you would input to like a GIS software.
Hmm.
So that's what they had at the time. So I don't have that software. I think it's doable. Maybe that's something I can ask Serpent if they could just put that,
I mean,
plug that
even-
in on the map. And,
Even if Serpent's got like a, an 8.5 by 11 map that shows the
Yeah.
radius, it would help me visualize where in Acushnet this is going to affect.
Yeah, where's it
And,
hit?
where is it going to affect, and what are we going to have to do to stay in compliance? And by the way, you know, the court case that she sent over, the court ruled that just being able to say, well, we're not interested in grant money, isn't going to get you out of the requirement.
No.
that was the Milton case.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's still going to have. Well, that may have put it to bed, but I mean, you've got all the more well-to-do communities in the state that there's money there to fight this tooth and nail if they so desire. You know, I mean, the Miltons, the Cohassets, there's
But we haven't been,
No,
we're not in that
no,
yet.
not yet. No,
Are we within a half mile of the station, any part of town?
we're not. I don't believe we're in a half-mile radius of the station because I
think
looked
we're
close to the
within a
border
half-
and it's probably about two miles.
I think, are we a half mile within where the tracks go?
Well, I know we would probably be classified as an adjacent community because we border a community that has a rail station.
Mm-hmm.
So that would put us in our own classification. So I can send out more
Are-
information
are-
on that.
Are we still going to have the requirement to create a multifamily zone in town?
If they go through, because I believe they would have to change something, whether it's in the regulations or the law itself, to add in those communities, because they're specifically called out, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. But yes, it wouldn't be at the same level as like, a commuter rail community, because we'd be adjacent, but we'd still have our own requirement.
Do we have any idea what those requirements might be at this time?
I can look more into it. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I know for the community I was working in, they were also a commuter rail community, but that was their requirement. They had a minimum they had to meet, minimum number of units, but for other communities, it was based off of like minimum, what the state considers developable land area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different, but that was also, like I said, a commuter rail community, so they might do it differently for adjacent, so sorry.
I just, it is going to come up relatively quickly
Yeah.
at this point. I mean, some of this is hard for me to wrap my head around. I've been looking at a commuter rail construction project, I swear, for the last 40 or 50 years. So and I might be wrong at that, but it's been so long, I don't even know what the time frame is anymore. And I mean, even one of the rail bridges that they put up, it must be 30 years old at this point. I mean,
Yeah. Supposedly they're in testing stages. So
Well,
they've been running the trains in
Yeah.
test
Yes.
mode, so.
like I said, I've heard the thing's imminent for the last, I don't know, 20 to 40
I was
years.
just gonna say,
May of this year supposedly it's supposed to be, and
Yes.
they're gonna be
Mhm.
doing it, so.
Yep, that was the
Yeah,
latest
because
update I had.
they have to do their own tests, and after they do one test, the state comes in, does their test. Then they picked up the speed, because it's 100-mile-an-hour track.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
So they gotta test it up to that point. Then the
Mhm.
state comes back, it just, it's one test. I went to New Bedford one night and over at the Wheeling Museum, and they
Mhm.
kind of ran through that whole testing mode there.
Wow.
So, yeah. The testing process, the safety aspect of it is.
Well,
pretty
yeah, I mean,
intense.
besides just, will the train fall off the tracks? I mean, all the intersections, all the conflicts with either people or vehicles,
Yeah.
they've all got to be checked out.
All the lights gotta ding when they're supposed to ding and go off, and switching because the way that whole thing's laid out, it all
Yeah.
goes over to one, the New Bedford Fall River, and it just kind of all merges up to one spot and starts heading up north, so.
Okay, we're all in attendance. Victoria, please continue.
All
Sorry.
right. No worries. So, again, Victoria Alfaro, town planner for the record. So the first update I want to give the board and the public was for the master plan. So the master plan committee, or MPC, held a workshop on January 9th to introduce the project timeline, and we had an overview of the housing, land use, and economic development in the town. This was held as a workshop as opposed to a formal meeting because no members of the MPC had been sworn in yet. So the Board of Selectmen held an off night meeting, but they did meet during the day, today to vote in the rest of the members. So the committee has been filled, and they will be notified of their appointments. There is a discovery workshop event happening at the library on January 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. In addition to other outreach events, the MPC will be meeting monthly on the second Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. Right here in the Board of Selectmen's meeting room. There will be a short break in the summer to allow for Serpent, our regional planning agency and consultant for the project, to have time to write the plan. We might also schedule, there was a member that was interested in holding a meeting before our next scheduled meeting to just have the committee get together and give kind of like an overview of what happened at the previous workshop.
Okay. Questions?
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so the next point I wanted to bring up was complete streets. So I know it's been a while since we discussed this. I believe it was back in September. So at that meeting in September, you guys did give me the go-ahead to kind of pursue this. So I did submit a letter of intent to MassDOT, which says that we will work on doing a complete streets policy and getting that adopted. So in that, because we submitted the letter of intent to adopt that policy within 1 year, it immediately allows us to apply for what's called Tier 2 funding to develop what's called a prioritization plan, which is basically a list of transportation improvement projects that are of importance to the town, usually between like 15 and 20. Could be an intersection, it could be areas with missing sidewalks, things like that. So the next step is, so when that funding round comes up, I believe it's closer to the spring, we are free to apply for that, so I can certainly do that if the board would like. And then the next step for the board now, at a subsequent meeting, is to start developing a draft complete streets policy and then recommending it for approval by the Board of Selectmen. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that. I'm happy to send out more information about, complete streets, and maybe for the next meeting or the meeting you guys want to discuss this, I can have some other policies from other towns, just so you can guys see what it looks like.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Perfect.
I'd like to take maybe an informal vote, just so we all know that we're all on the same page for Victoria to continue with this.
Oh, I would make a motion to have Victoria continue the process to investigate what we have to do to get the complete street program in place.
Awesome. I have a motion.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Again, just for the record.
You were told to do it now.
Yeah. All right, and that's it from you, correct?
I have one more
Please.
thing, that's okay, sorry, it's not in
No?
the packet, kind of came up last minute. So, CERCBED offers what's called DLTA funds, District Local Technical Assistance Funds, that towns can apply for. So I was looking online at their previous awards and some things that they do for other communities, and I saw that they've helped develop a permitting guide and even like a business, like for the business side of things too, for like development and things like that, or they called it like a marketing guide. Since I've been hired here, I know I've heard a lot about kind of making something that applicants can use that's user friendly, so they know what the process is and things like that. So I think Middleborough has a pretty comprehensive one I was looking at. I'm not sure if that's an eligible project for DLTA funds, but if it is, I was wondering if that's something.
Yeah, that would be something to pursue.
Okay.
I mean, the other thing, once you do that, then you're going to keep it updated, but.
Yeah, making sure it's updated. I was thinking about that as well, because one of the ones I was looking at had like contact information, which, staff changes.
That changes from time to time,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would agree to look into that a little bit more.
okay.
And I mean, I'm all for whatever's out there for funds to help out the town. obviously we gotta make sure we read the fine print and we know all the details behind it, but if there's any funds out there that are available that this town can take advantage of to help us out, I am all for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving along. That was the planner's update. Next is other business. We haven't had anything else come in the last 48 hours. Excuse me, our next meeting is Thursday, February 6th. Gentlemen, ladies, anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns they'd like to discuss?
No, thank you.
Our next meeting is February 6th. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.